If you're hunting for blazing fast Wi-Fi, chances are you've stumbled upon the Linksys Hydra Pro 6E, promising multi-gigabit speeds and a Wi-Fi range that covers your entire home, even the guest house. But here's what surprised me. Despite all that hype, I found some glaring issues that could make this high-tech router more headache than help. Most reviews either sugarcoat the experience or bury the problems, but today, I'm pulling back the curtain to give you the honest truth about whether the Hydra Pro 6E is worth your $120. Stick around. The answer might shock you. Now, if you're managing a smart home packed with devices, from 4K streamers to gamers craving zero lag, or even AR and VR aficionados needing that ultra-low latency 6 GHz band, this router seems perfect on paper. It boasts support for over 55 devices at once and coverage up to 2,700 square feet with mesh capabilities. Sounds dreamy, right? But is it actually delivering those promises, or is it just Wi-Fi fluff? We'll dive deep into real-world performance, setup quirks, and whether it truly solves dead zones like it claims. Plus, I'll share some surprises you won't expect about its mesh technology and control app. Before we jump in, quick question. Have you ever bought a router that looked like a supercar but performed more like a tricycle? That's kind of what we're dealing with here, and I'll explain why as we go. Oh, and if you stick with me throughout this review, I'll reveal the one workaround that might save you from frustration and unlock the Hydra Pro 6E's hidden potential. So keep watching. Alright, now let's unpack what makes the Linksys Hydra Pro 6E stand out and where it falls flat. First, the specs are undeniably solid. You get Wi-Fi 6E, which means it operates on the brand new 6 GHz band along with the traditional 2.4 and 5 GHz frequencies. This is a game changer because the 6 GHz band is less crowded, delivering ultra-low latency and multi-gigabit speeds, essential for serious gamers, AR or VR devices, and live streaming. The Hydra Pro 6E supports over 55 connections simultaneously, which is impressive for large families or crowded homes packed with smart devices. It's also equipped with 5 Ethernet ports, so wired devices can get ultra-fast connections without hogging the Wi-Fi bandwidth. Plus, the mesh Wi-Fi system means you can add nodes to eliminate dreaded dead zones in any tricky corners of your home. Linksys promises coverage of up to 2,700 square feet. That's nearly the size of a mansion in Wi-Fi world. Sounds fantastic, but here's where the plot thickens. While the theoretical performance is great, real-world tests tell a somewhat different story. I ran speed tests using multiple devices over the 6 GHz band and found some inconsistencies. The peak speeds sometimes live up to what Linksys claims, hitting multi-gigabit speeds, but those bursts are fleeting. Sustained speeds dip noticeably after a few minutes, especially when multiple devices were streaming or gaming simultaneously. This means the router crumbles under heavy load, struggling to maintain the ultra-fast streaming that it promises. If you're like me and hate buffering more than Mondays, that's a red flag. Then comes the mesh experience, which should ideally be smooth. Unfortunately, the Hydra Pro 6E's mesh node setup is trickier than expected. Users report having to reset nodes repeatedly as connections drop suddenly, even when adding extra nodes close to the main router. That's a bummer when you're trying to patch dead zones. Worse, the router software tends to favor certain bands over others, sometimes not switching devices seamlessly between 5 GHz and 6 GHz nodes. So your phone might stay connected on a slower band, missing out on full speed. Frustrating. It's like having front row tickets to a concert but being stuck in the nosebleeds. Speaking of frustration, the Linksys app, which is supposed to make setup a breeze, often complicates matters. While the initial setup usually finishes in minutes, controlling and managing your network remotely can suffer from bugs and lags. Sometimes the app fails to recognize added mesh nodes unless you restart your phone or the router. Definitely not convenient when troubleshooting issues on the fly. And although the app touts parental controls and device prioritization, I found these to be basic at best, missing customization features that power users expect. For some, this might not matter, but if you want detailed controls, be warned. But here's the twist. While these issues might seem deal-breakers, the Hydra Pro 6e actually shines if you tailor expectations and usage correctly. If your setup is straightforward, a medium-sized home, mostly wireless devices, and moderate streaming gaming needs, it delivers consistent speeds and a noticeable upgrade over older routers. The dedicated 6 GHz band is especially useful if you have compatible devices and want to minimize interference from neighbors' Wi-Fi. Plus, the Ethernet ports are a solid bonus for gamers who prefer wired connections. So it's not all doom and gloom. This router suits a specific kind of user very well. Now, to help you decide, let's talk about who the Hydra Pro 6e is really for. This router targets tech-savvy households craving future-proofing with Wi-Fi 6e, the latest standard. Early adopters who own AR or VR gadgets, stream multiple 4K videos simultaneously, or host large video calls will appreciate the dedicated 6 GHz band. It's also great for those who want expandable mesh systems without switching brands or sacrificing speed. However, if you expect flawless step-and-forget mesh performance in a sprawling mansion or run a high-stakes esports gaming setup, you might need to look elsewhere. Or better yet, invest extra time tweaking network settings and updating firmware regularly. By the way, quick joke break, why did the router go to therapy? Because it couldn't handle so many connections. Bottom TSS. Now back to our review. One of my favorite features is the Linksys intelligent mesh technology, which aims to dynamically maximize your Wi-Fi speed by optimizing devices' routing paths and eliminating dead zones. When it works beautifully. Your devices hop from node to node seamlessly, keeping the connection solid even if you're moving around. But due to the occasional software quirks and patchy firmware updates, this feature isn't as reliable as advertised. It's like having a self-driving car that occasionally takes the scenic route instead of the fastest highway. Not ideal, but hopefully improvable with future updates. Another plus, the price point. Around $120, the Hydra Pro 6e offers next-gen Wi-Fi 6e technology and mesh networking without breaking the bank. That's a steal compared to other Wi-Fi 6e mesh systems boasting similar coverage but pricing at $300 or more. So if budget is a big factor and you want a Wi-Fi 6e router with mesh for a modest home, this could be a smart buy. Just manage expectations and check for firmware updates regularly. Here's another one for you. Why don't routers ever tell jokes? Because they'd lose their connection. Okay, back on track. Now a quick story to sum it up. A friend of mine, let's call him Dave, bought the Hydra Pro 6e excited about upgrading his home network. He has a smart home full of Alexa devices, security cameras, tablets and smartphones, plus an avid VR gamer among his kids. Initial setup went well, and he was impressed by the speed tests on day one. But after a week, he started noticing dropped connections and lag during game time. Tech support advised firmware updates and placement tweaks, which improved things, but stubborn dead spots lingered. However, plugging gaming rigs directly into Ethernet ports wowed the kids with stable, lightning-fast speeds. Dave ended up adding a second mesh node and learned to live with occasional hiccups, but overall loves the upgrade from his decade-old router. So your mileage may vary. So what's the final verdict? Should you buy the Linksys Hydra Pro 6e? If you want cutting-edge Wi-Fi 6e with solid multi-gigabit speeds, coverage up to 2,700 square feet, and a budget-friendly mesh system, it's a compelling option, especially for mid-sized homes with lots of devices. The dedicated 6 GHz band is a game-changer for compatible devices, and the intelligent mesh technology, while flawed, offers promising improvements over traditional routers. But keep in mind it's not perfect. Expect occasional software bugs, some setup headaches, and slower speeds under very heavy loads. However, if you demand rock-solid, seamless mesh coverage across very large properties, or run highly specialized gaming or streaming setups, you might want to consider more premium competitors with better managed firmware and superior real-world performance. Or be prepared to spend time tinkering with settings and firmware updates. All that said, I appreciate what Linksys is trying to do: deliver future-proof Wi-Fi at a reasonable price with next-gen 6 GHz capability. For many users, the Hydra Pro 6E is a fantastic upgrade from older routers stuck on Wi-Fi 5 or crowded 2.45 GHz bands. Plus, the easy setup via the Linksys app is a plus for less tech-savvy households. And before we wrap up, one last laugh. What did the Wi-Fi router say to the slow modem? "You're just not my type." All right, thanks for indulging me. If you want the best price on the Linksys Hydra Pro 6E, check the link in the description. Prices can shift quickly with sales and stock changes, so snag it while it's hot. Remember, no router is perfect, but with a little patience and the right setup, this one could be exactly what your home network needs. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more honest reviews and tips. Thanks for watching.